interrupt this program for some breaking news. Stampin' Up! Has an exclusive join offer. It's always a good time to join Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator, but now it's a great time. If you join my team from February 2nd through March the 3rd, Stampin' Up! Will include their new Stampin' Positioner in your kit absolutely free. You still get to choose $125 worth of the products of your choice from our annual catalog, online exclusives, and last chance list for only $99 plus tax. Shipping is on us. That's an additional $10 in savings. Why would you want to join, you say? You aren't interested in selling? Neither was I when I joined over 2 years ago, but I couldn't resist the perks that come along with being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I get advance access to new releases, including new catalogs, online exclusives, and last chance offerings. You can receive 20 to 25% discount on all your purchases after your starter kit. Want to make this a business? You can earn up to 40% commission on your personal purchases and customer sales. You can earn an additional 10% stamping rewards on top of your 20% demonstrator discount. You can join a community of stampers on exclusive demonstrator social media sites for inspiration and encouragement. And you can access a demonstrator-only website for an additional monthly fee. No need to design your own website. Stampin' Up! Has done all the work for you. There's video training and webinars to help you along the way. Are you afraid of making a commitment? No worries. You can join for the discount. No strings attached. No requirements to sell or to host classes. You may decide down the road you really like this and want to earn a little extra money. I found out how much I really enjoyed making cards and have just started holding classes in my home and started this YouTube channel a month ago. My passion for card making has grown, and I love passing that passion on to my friends. I'm not making a true business out of it, but the choice is yours. Do what makes you happy. The Stampin' Positioner will make your stamping easier, faster, and more precise than ever before. Get yours free starting February 3rd through March the 2nd. It's a great time to join my team. We now return to our regular broadcast. Hello, crafty friends. My name is Chris Reinhardt, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Ormond Beach, Florida. Welcome to my craft table. Today I'm continuing my focus on use what you have, only buy what you need, with 3 more Valentine cards using mostly products that were in my stash. And this first card, we're only using 1 new product. The first card is this slide card. I'm not actually sure what it's called, but I think I saw Rachel Tessman make this, and I just changed the DSP. She used the True Blue product of the month from last month, but I didn't have that paper. So I substituted the Country Lace, which is now retired, but I thought it worked well. When you open it, the message slides out. So I thought that was really cute. Okay, I'm going to have all of the dimensions in the description on the video, but let's go over what we have to start with before we start making the card. We have a card base of 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 1.5 and 5 3/4, and I use thick basic white cardstock. We're going to use for the slider part basic white 4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to score that at 3/8. We're going to have I have two different patterns from the DSP. The first one that goes on the front of the card is 2.5 by 5 1/4, and the inside DSP, there's 2 pieces. One is 2 5/8 by 5 1/4, and the other is 1 3/8 by 5 1/4. We're going to need some silver foil to punch out 2 jar lids, and also a piece of silver foil that is 1/2 by 5 1/2, and then a little bit more scraps of the foil to punch out some hearts. And then the new product, I used one of the large pink doilies, and I cut it in half. The doilies, by the way, come, I think there's 24 doilies in a package, yes. And they come in 2 sizes. There's small and large, and they come in bubblegum or bubble bath and real red. So you have quite a few there. That'll make a lot of Valentines. And then we're going to need a scrap to stamp 2 of the jars and stamp the hearts in it. Okay, so let's get started making our card. The base, as I mentioned, is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 1.5 and 5 3/4. And just want to burnish those well. Now we're going to stamp, I'll set that aside. We're going to stamp 2 of our jars, and those are from the Sweet jar. And I think that's still a current product. So we're going to use the stamp set and the punch for that. So I'm going to stamp the jar in Smoky Slate. Get my piercing mat out. I've got a little bit of ink on that. 1, 2. Next, we're going to stamp the hearts inside of the jar. So what I've done is taken the solid stamp. I stamp it off lightly just to get some of the ink off, and then line it up with the bottom of the jar, and you should just get a light impression. There we go. And then stamp the hearts on top of that, full strength. There. That looks good. Now we're going to cut that out. There we go, and set that aside. Now let's stamp on the other side of this, our empty jar. And punch that out. Need to extend the paper again. There we go. That one punched out good. So we'll set these this aside for the time being. And we need to punch out the silver foil lids. I punched out one already. So let me punch out one more. I don't know if I can fit that on there. Oh yeah, it will fit there. There we go. So now we have our 2 lids, and while I've got my punches out, I think I'll punch the hearts. I use the Bee Builder punch for the hearts. You can use any dies you have for hearts, other punches you have. I don't know if that's going to fit. Ooh, I think I can fit that on there. I punched one large one. Oh, there, I got a bonus small one there, and one more small one. There we go. And we can put this away. and set these aside for the time being. Okay. Next, we're going to take our tear-in tape and run it along the silver foil strip that we have. And you're going to put the tear-in tape on the good side of the foil. Remove the backing. And then you're going to line up along the outside of this flap. Well, you're going to put it on the inside of the flap so that just a little strip of the silver is showing through. Like that. Next, you're going to glue your half doily to your front DSP. And if you had one of those little brushes that I'm going to go to the Dollar Tree and get one, little baster brushes, and cut the bristles really short. It's good to dab that into ink and just dab it onto your paper, but I don't have one, so I'll have to do it the manual way and use my glue gun. Luckily, this glue gun has a nice thin bead of glue coming out. You want to get along the edge really good because you want that to have a nice good seal. If you don't put this on first, if you forget like I have done before, it's not a big deal. You just have to line it up after the DSP has been added to the flap. But it's easier to get it lined up straight if you're putting it on the DSP before you glue the DSP down. I hope that makes sense. Just get a couple of these. Yeah, I really do want one of those brushes. Have any of you used those where you cut down the brush and use it to add glue to your project? Okay. We're going to add that. And there's going to be a little margin at the top and the bottom. Just make it kind of even. As even as you can. And right up to the edge. Like that. There we go. Now that's ready to glue on to our card front. And you'll have an even border all around of about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe it is. I still have to send feedback to the place that makes this glue gun. Although I'm happy with it, I don't like that it drips. I'm lucky I can put the top on one-handed while I'm still holding my project, but not everybody probably can do that. Okay. Next, we're going to glue our other 2 DSP pieces to the inside. The large one, let's see, I think it goes this way. Large one obviously on the left, the small one on the right. I don't like seeing that tape there, but I guess there's nothing you can do about that aside from just having a piece of DSP cover the whole panel. I don't think anybody but us would notice that. The card makers themselves notice every little thing. The recipients are just happy to get a handmade card. That's not straight. There we go. And we're going to put a little bead of glue on the top and the bottom of this to make this stay shut like a pocket. Just along the very top and bottom. A thin layer of glue. Just enough to keep it shut. And hold that for a minute. Or a little longer. This doesn't want to stay. Maybe it needs to be burnished a little more. Now Rachel put the mechanism on first, but I'm going to change the order of how we do things, and I'll show you why later. We're going to put dimensionals on the back of the jar that's got the stamp on it. Oh, here's my dimensionals. And you're going to have them stick up a little bit on the top because you're going to attach your lid there. So see, like that. Take off the backing and then attach your lid and add a couple more dimensionals on the back, but be careful because you're going to be putting it here and part of it's going to be sticking out, so you don't want to put dimensionals on the right side. So stick to the left and you'll be fine. Like that. And then place it about like that. My lid looks a little crooked. I wonder if I can take that off. Oops. Well, I'm sticking off, and I did what I told you not to do. Got to stick it over a little farther. Yeah, check the back before you put it down. And I think that looks crooked still. There. Well, that was work. All right. Now you're going to put your other empty jar so it backs up evenly with the one on the front, and you're just going to glue it. And you don't need to glue on the left side because it's going to be hanging over. So about like that. So it looks like that. Then you're going to take your other silver lid and glue it like it's off the jar, on the side of the jar, propped up against it. Actually, I think I like it better like that. You can put it however you want. And the reason I changed the order of the instructions, Rachel had us putting this centerpiece in first before we put the jar and stamping. And I couldn't tell where the jar was because we're going to want our hearts to be floating like they're coming out of the jar. And in my original one, I sort of have them too low. And I'll tell you what happened here later on when we're stamping. Okay, next we're going to put our tear and tape along that 3/8 inch score line. Remove the backing. And while it's open, we're going to set it so that there's an even amount of space on the top and the bottom, but keep it right against that fold line. Push it in, make sure it's tight against there, and then close the card. And what that does now, you've got that mechanism where it slides out. Now I made that lid just right. Okay, so now it's time to stamp our hearts. Let me get the pretty in pink, or bubble bath, I mean. Okay. Now you can see where the jar is, so I'm going to put them starting about here. And then you'll slide this underneath here. I think I have my piece too long. Let me see if I measured that right. Oh, that's right. I wonder why it's catching. Well, I'm going to just cut off a little bit. I had it 4 inches like it was supposed to be. But it's catching, so I'm just going to slice off a little bit more. Now that did not happen on my original card. I'm probably going to take off a 1/4 inch. And that works fine. Okay, so you've got your hearts disappearing when you open the card. They appear again. So now it's time for our sentiment. And what I did was, she had sweetness, which I thought was cute. So I stamped that in Misty Moonlight. I've got to get right under it so I know it's straight. And then I also added Sending a Little, which is on this. The stamp has a blank after sending a little and then you're away. So I only inked up the Sending a Little on my stamp pad. And I stamp that up here. And you don't have to do that, but there we go. Perfecto. And then lastly, we just add a couple of silver hearts. I've lost my third one, but we'll just put 2 on then. And I would close it first to make sure that it's like that will go there. And that one will go there. And when I find the third one, it'll go above there. And these are just glued on. I don't know how that heart could have disappeared, but you can't make a card without losing something. It's just not in the books. Okay, we'll have that one there. Oops, I got ink on, or glue on that. I'm probably not going to like that. I'll see if I can scrape that off. You definitely want to avoid getting glue on your silver foil. There. All right, well that was a lot of work. It's really not that hard. So there's our finished card. Here's our original. Open it up and you're sending a little sweetness. It's like I say, this isn't just a Valentine's card. You can be sending sweetness any time of the year. Okay, well that's card number 1. We'll go on to card number 2. Okay, we're ready for card number 2. In this card, we're going to be using a technique that we ink our embossing folder with a brayer. So that'll be different. And the only new products that I'm using for this one are, again, the dies from the Endless Love. And the product of the month, the Fabulous Sayings, which I love this. I love the fonts on it. So we're going to be using Sending Love. And of course, we're using the Hearts of Love embossing folder. Okay, let's get started putting this together. We're going to start, again, the dimensions will be in the description. We're going to start with a Pretty in Pink card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then we're going to have a layer of Strawberry Slush that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then we've got our basic white that is, let's see, I think it's 4 by 5 1/4. And that's what we're going to be using our brayer and embossing folder on. So let me get that out. We're going to be using Strawberry Slush ink. And what you want to do is you want to put brayer ink the raised part of the embossing folder. So not the top part, but the bottom part. And you don't have to have a brayer, but it sure makes it easy to get the ink on there evenly. See how easy that rolls on there? want to get a good coverage on that. Then what I do is I put the paper in using that line to keep it straight that's on the top, and then fold the bottom down. Oops. Luckily the bottom stays in place and doesn't go down on the paper. There we go. Now I'm going to take that over to the cut and emboss machine, and I'm going to emboss it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And there is our layer. Now this used Pretty in Pink. I think on my original card I used the bubble gum. So you can use whichever one you prefer. I was going to make one of each so that I can see how I like it. While that's drying, I'm sure it's probably dry, but I'll let it dry a little longer. We've got a strawberry slush that I cut out with the Spotlight on Nature die. Then I've got a circle that is 2 3/8 inches. I use the basic, well, in basic white, I use the stitch shapes, but any circle that's 2 3/8 because it just needs to fit inside there like that. And then we have a gold foil heart that I cut out from the Endless Love dies. I can never remember the name of that one. So we're going to glue all those things together. There we go. Oh, I see a hole I didn't punch out. Get my take your pick tool. Get that whole little, here we go. A little straggler. Then we're going to glue the foil heart on to the center. This would be another good candidate for the double-sided paper, sticky paper. I never can remember the name of that stuff. I don't have any. I don't use it. But any kind of fiddly die cut like this is a good candidate for that. Okay. I'm going to glue that on here. Okay, now this should be dry by now. Okay, see how the ink has gone into the indentations? I was trying to figure out how to get the raised hearts like this side inked up, but I just couldn't figure it out. When I put ink on the embossing folder on the other side, this is what happened. It inked the background and the hearts remained white and raised, which if I had inked it better, probably it might have looked good, but I kind of like this look better anyway. So we're going to glue this to our strawberry slush layer. This one looks more like a Valentine card than the first card we did. That first card could be for any occasion. This does look like a Valentine card. Again, just a small small layer or margin there. When you put your paper through the embossing machine, it shrinks. So it's not exactly a true even margin. If you were real picky, and I'm not, although maybe I will. I think I'm going to cut a little sliver off of that. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I might have cut it a little bit too short, but I think it looks better than it was when it was too long. Okay, that can go onto our card base now. Do you send a lot of Valentine's cards out to your friends? Years ago, I never sent a Valentine's card out to anybody, but since I've been making cards, I have a small group of friends I usually send them out, only because they kind of look forward to getting my handmade cards, so I don't want to disappoint. There we go. Again, the margins aren't exactly the way I would like them because of the shrinkage. I should probably make the white panel that we emboss a little bit larger and then measure it before I put it down. I think I'll do that on my next card that I make like this. Okay, we're ready to put our circle down, and that's going to go on dimensionals. So we'll put some dimensionals on the back. And the reason I'm putting so many on here is because we're going to put some ribbon along the back. It needs to stick to something. I've got the gold striped ribbon, which is on back order. It is coming in, I think, in early February. I need about 13 inches of that. And we're just going to zigzag it along the back. There we go. So you leave a little bit sticking out. Make a loop on the bottom, a loop on the top, did I take the backing off of that one? I didn't take the backing off that one. No wonder it's not stinking. Okay, let's try that again. Loop on the bottom, loop again on the top, and a tail at the bottom. Okay, and if you need, probably could use another dimensional right here. That'll hold the ribbon down, and I'll put one right there. And then just put that in the center. And then take your ribbon scissors. Actually, these don't need much cutting. This one could probably just cut a little bit. Then I use some strawberry slush and Pretty in Pink gems. Those are still current. So I put a couple of those on front. You can decorate it however you like. And I put a large one down here. Maybe a small one there and another small one there. You could put some in here too if you wanted to, I guess. But I think 3 is enough. Okay, we're ready for the inside now. The inside is basic white, 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to use our new stamp set, Fabulous Sayings. Sending Love. And that's stamped in Pretty in Pink. Or strawberry slush, I'm sorry. Got my pinks mixed up. And if you get this a little crooked, you really can't tell. That's what I like about this one, because the font is not even. Oh, and I stamped a few hearts. Whoops, sorry about that. There goes my glue gun. I stamped a few hearts. And the bottom. Yes. And that's from the Sweet Jar stamp set, I believe. Or Jar of Sweets. And then this is ready to glue inside the card. And this is a really quick, fast card. Simple. Our next one will be a challenge. Okay. That looks nice. All right, there we go. Now here's the difference between the two. This one is stamped, inked in Strawberry Slush, and this one was in, I think that might be Pretty in Pink. Which one do you like better? I kind of like them both. I'm not really sure. So I also stamped the inside in Pretty in Pink, whereas this one is the Strawberry Slush. All right, well, that's card number 2. Okay, we're ready for our last card, and this one is going to be a shaker card. Here's what I have designed. I'm using the Friendly Foliage stamp set and die set. I sort of thought that reminded me of a good shaker card design. It's not, you can't really see it a whole lot, but I like it. And I did this one in Flirty Flamingo. For the one we're doing today, I'm going to try Melon Mambo just to change it up a little bit. And the products we're using are the Fabulous Sayings for Sending Love. I use the Textured Note dies, the largest one, the largest frame. I'm using Hearts of Elegance because I like the Happy Valentine's Day font. I could have gotten away with using the Reason to Celebrate. Here's the Valentine's Day and the Happy, but I kind of like the font on this one, so I opted for that one. And of course, the Friendly Foliage. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start out with a card base of 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And on top of that, we've got a Melon Mambo layer that was cut with the Textured Notes dies. So we can get that glued on. If we can get through this card without too many stops and starts, I'll be amazed, because it's a little involved for me. But we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Usually I can do this with one hand, but not now. Getting tired. I think the Melon Mambo is going to look nice too. It's going to look more Valentine's. Okay. Then you're going to stamp and die cut the friendly foliage. And here's what it looks like. I've stamped it in Melon Mambo, and I've got the die already placed. I used both dies so that I get the inside openings, and I've already die cut it here. You're going to need a piece of acetate to go on the back of that so that the shaker bits don't fall out. And that measures, let's see, what does that measure? I think it's 1 3/4 by 3. So we're going to glue that onto the back of our die cut from the friendly foliage. I see there's another little thing sticking in there. Okay. So you just need to go around the edge. You don't need to do the leaves. You don't want to do that, or your shaker bits will, well, no, they won't stick to it, but you'll see they'll glue. I probably should have my silicone mat out here. It'll take a moment to dry, but you want it even, so it's got a little window behind the die cut. I'm just going to press that down a little bit. Okay. While that's drying, you can stamp your sentiment, sending love, which I stamped, and you have to fussy cut it, which I've already done, because believe me, you don't want to watch me fussy cut. I don't do the best job. I have a scan and cut, so I'm going to try practicing on that tonight. I don't know if I'll be able to figure out, I'm not very proficient with it, but if I can figure out how to cut this out on the scan and cut, oh, I'll be a happy, happy girl. Okay. While you're fussy cutting that, I'm going to add foam tape around the edge to keep the shaker bits inside. And you're going to do that right along the very edge again. I don't want to use my good scissors. And make sure you butt your foam tape up to the piece before it so that there's no gaps. Otherwise, those little tiny shaker bits will fall out. Now, if you wanted to, and I didn't bother, you could make it 2 layers high so that you could, the shakers would shake around a little better. Mine are a little tight. The hearts are a little tight. There we go. Looks like you can see that there, so I'm going to cut that a little better. Same down here. Okay. Now we can remove the paper backing. I put my shaker bits in first before and then removed the backing, and every time I lifted up on the backing it shook and all my shaker bits were going all over the place. So I'll try removing the backing first and then pouring the shaker bits in. starting to get dark out, so I hope the lighting is okay here. Okay, what I used for the shaker bits, I picked out just the pink, the light pink hearts from the Loose Valentine's assortment. I picked out about 12 of them. And then I had an assortment of other bits in my stash from a while back. And I just poured, you can pour it just in the center and spread it out a little bit. Okay. And then you're going to have a backing that's the same size that was, what did I say, that was 1 3/4 by 3. And you're going to put that on the back to keep the bits inside. Oh, I got a little foam tape on me there. There we go. Press that down good so it's nice and sealed. And there's your, ooh, that looks nice. I like that. All right, we're going to glue this to the center of the card, leaving enough room for our sentiment, which I've fussy cut. So that's going to go down here. So I'll probably raise that up just a little bit. So we'll glue that down. Boy, that didn't take as long as I thought. I guess I didn't have to get all of the shaker bits off of the sticky foam tape this time, since I did it the right way. And center that. That looks straight. Now I put Sending Love down on with glue dots, only because I thought I was going to remove it and replace it with a better one, if I can figure out how to use the scan and cut. So I'll just put this one down with glue dots also. Kind of a temporary. I'm just hoping that I can figure it out, because it would look nice. If I can figure it out, I might cut out a bunch of them and then just stamp them as I need them. That's the way to do it. If anybody out there has a scan and cut and has any tips on how to get this cut out, I would sure appreciate hearing from you. Yeah, that's not a very nice fussy cut, but oh, that looks good though. All right, for the inside, we have a Melon Mambo 5 1/4 by 4, and then a basic white that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And we're going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day in Melon Mambo. I like to get my paper straight on there before I stamp. That looks good. And then what I did on the bottom was I used the little leaf branch from Friendly Foliage, and I put that at the bottom. Just for a little decoration. Oh, that looks nice. I'm always amazed when things stamp out straight. It doesn't take much to make me happy. All right. Let's get this glued to the mat. And that's straight. Boy, this card's coming together good. Probably shouldn't have said anything. Something could happen. We still have time to mess up. Don't you hate when that happens? When you're almost done with a card and then something happens and you have to start all over? That happened to me today earlier, but... There we go. Oh, that looks so nice. Now, you can add some gems if you want, but I thought the sparkle in the shaker card was plenty. And happy Valentine's Day. So, here it is in Flirty Flamingo, and here it is in Melon Mambo. Which do you like better? I really like the Flirty Flamingo, but for Valentine's Day, I think that the Melon Mambo looks really good. So, well, thanks for joining me today. We did 3 cards. That's a record for me for my videos. I've only done 1 card at a time, so I'd love to see your pictures that you make with some of the designs that I've shown you today. You can post them on my Facebook page, Chris's Stampin', or leave me a comment here telling me what products you paired together. Until next time, remember, making and receiving handmade cards, that's what joy feels like. See you next time. Bye-bye.